Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. So when researching how to do this, most people just kind of stick some insulation into this gap here, and it goes up to here, and then the usually be like a silver insulation, or sometimes it's just that rigid pink insulation. And in order to do that, you pretty much have to cut it in a few different ways to get it to fit in here. And that's what I did to start with, but when I'd open the garage door, it would fall out. So I wanted to find a better way to do that. Plus, I didn't really like the look of the silver or just pink. Kind of looked not finished, and so I wanted something to match kind of the white insulation that I got on the rest of my shop. So there's a product that's basically foil on both sides that there's a few different brands. There's Nasatec and Reflectex, and the one I went with is actually Reflectex, and they have a product that is foil on one side, and on the other side it's white. So this is the product that I got from Reflectex that's got white on one side and kind of the foil on the other side. And I got 24 inches by 100 feet for about 75 bucks. And you can get this in multiple different sizes. I think you can get 16 inches or 12 inches depending on how big the sections are of your garage door. And so I have 24-inch sections. So there's a couple different ways you can install this. You can install it kind of on the outside, leaving an air gap, about a 1-inch air gap. Or you can install it on the inside here and just kind of roll it out, and that makes it really easy to install. There's no fasteners, no nothing to really worry about. You just got to cut your pieces to the right length and lay them in, and then you're pretty much done. So doing it like this, you're going to end up with about an R3.7 value if you do it without the air gap, and with the air gap, you're going to end up with about an R4.2. But I want even more of an insulation value, so I'm going to be adding some of this R5 1-inch thick pink rigid insulation, and you don't have to get the reflective stuff because we already got the the radiant barrier with the Reflectex, and this is about 1 inch thick. And then if you cut this to the right size, you can just slot those in too, and then put the white over it. And so let me show you guys how I'm going to do that. So the other trick to attaching this Reflectex material is it's made out of polyethylene, so there's really not much that likes to actually stick to polyethylene. There's, I think the Nasatec garage door kit comes with kind of that double-sided 3M tape. What I found that worked actually really good was this butyl tape. It's kind of like a rubber kind of tape, and they actually use this on moisture barriers and crawl spaces that also uses kind of polyethylene tarp, and so it actually works pretty good to stick to it. So then on top of the tape, what I've done is I've actually taken all of the garage door hardware off and then sandwiched it between the actual garage door and this Reflectex material, and this does a really good job of attaching it to the garage door. And then the other thing that I also added is these Christmas tree clips. Just drill the hole through here and put this on, and this is also kind of a trick that I pulled from the crawl spaces. They use these clips also, and with the addition of the butyl tape plus these plus the hardware actually going over the insulation and sandwiching between the garage door, this material's not going anywhere, and this is one of the garage doors that I've gotten done. So without any further ado, let me show you how I actually attach one of these. So I got my pink insulation foam all cut out, and now I'm just going to slot these into here while taking the hardware off so that I can easily slide in the actual insulation. So one trick is I'm only going to take off enough to get the insulation in, and then I'll come put the Reflectex over it and clamp it back down, and then go on to the rest. If you take all the hardware off, this piece is actually going to fall off, so you don't want to do that. These in second because they're a little longer, and put this one in first. I'm just going to slot these into the slots. slide it in just like that. And then do the other side. They're not quite all the way through. This kind of has a lip on this side, so you got to give it a little bit of encouragement to get exactly where you want it to go in, and that's where that needs to be. Then the last one is always kind of tricky because you got to kind of slot it in sideways and kind of bend the foam a little bit to actually get it to go in. Just like that, it's in. You can see I got a little gap here. I knew that was going to be there, so I've already got a little piece of foam to fill that gap. So you can see that's now inside there. If you look over at this one, you can see that there's a piece of steel back here. And if you look, there's a gap there. So that you gotta kind of push that insulation back to get it into that lip. And that can be a little tricky. Luckily on these side ones, they don't actually have any of that. So they're actually a little bit easier to put stuff in. So what I recommend to do is, like for one side that has a lip on each side, is to put the harder one in first and then squeeze the other side in. This one's gonna be a one piece, so it's gonna be real difficult to get it behind that lip. And then that side over there is also gonna be a one piece to get in. This one has to be two pieces in order to pull it into each side. Now I'll apply the butyl tape. You're gonna want to apply some good pressure to this to get it to really stick. The other thing you're gonna want to do is just kind of run over with your finger, get any dust off before you apply it. That just helps it stick better. Another kind of trick you can use is if you got a little piece of butyl tape that's just kind of excess, you can actually use it to pull dust off of the surface before you apply the butyl tape. The other thing, because it's behind this, you don't really have to worry about what it looks like, so just bang on it. So one thing with the garage doors is this bottom plate here is what holds this cable back here, which runs up to the top, up there to the spring, which you know, it makes the garage door open easier. But there's a lot of tension on this spring, so when you take this off, it'll actually pull up just a little bit. But it's connected to the other side also, so it'll only pull up a little bit, and then it'll also actually pull that side of the garage door up and kind of cantilever this down and make this really hard to put on. So kind of the way to counteract that is to actually put a vice grip on that cable back there and the edge over here. I don't know if you can see that very well over here. Let's go over here. So yeah, this cable right here, see if I can get my hands on it. this cable right here, you can kind of pull it over to the side here and put a vice grip on it. And then putting that vice grip on it is going to hold this in place while you go ahead and disconnect that down there. And then that way it won't pull everything up on the opposite side, and it won't pull that piece up and move this down, making it hard to put that back on. Now I've got that vice grip clamped on there, clamping that on there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of prop this side of the garage door up, make that cable loose, and then take this off. And then that way it'll be easier to go back on. One thing to note about this is now that that cable there isn't helping pull this up, the door is going to be really heavy, so I'm going to have to get some leverage to actually get that to come up. So now I can see that this cable is loose, and so now it'll make getting that part down there off easy. So all my garage doors are finished up now. That's pretty much how I did it. Just the pink insulation with the Reflectix white and reflective insulation on it with some beetle tape and clamping it between all the hardware. Next, I'm going to come back and drill a bunch of holes and stick those Christmas tree clips in, and man, this thing will be insulating for years to come. So if you like seeing videos like this, I'm going to try and make some more shop upgrade videos, as well as working some more on the cart. I've got a dyno to put together. I got a lot of projects. So if you want to see any of that stuff, subscribe. If you have any questions about how I did any of this stuff, be sure to leave a comment. And if you like the video, like the video. Thanks for watching.